राधा माधव कुंजा विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंजा विहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंजा विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंजा विहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंजा विहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंजा विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादेवा जय सुभद्रा जय गौरनिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरनिता इत्ता गौर हरि बोल इत्ता गौर हरि बोल जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरे जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरे गौरा हरे गौरा हरे गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बिहारी गौर हरि मायापुर चंद्रा गौर हरि गौरा गौर हरि गौर Gaura 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 Hari. Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jaya Gaura Hari Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jaya Gaura Hari Gaura 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 Hari Gaura 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 Hari Nitai Gaura Haribol 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Tagore Pramanande Hari Hari Bol एवं विष्णुपाद ब्रह्महंस परिव्राज काचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमती श्रीरंगेसी भक्ति वेदांत सांशोपाद की जाए। एवं विष्णुपाद ब्रह्महंस परिव्राज काचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमती श्रीरंगेसी भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। आनंद गौड़ वैष्णव की जय। नमाचार्य श्रीदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगमय यमुनमय की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories. Shri Guru and Gauranga Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Thank you very much for joining. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, verse number 52 to 53. Those who are on the Google Meet, you can share. Otherwise, if you are on the dial-in, please use your Bhagavad Gita or listen if you don't have Bhagavad Gita in front of you. Let me share. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Adhnatamirandasya Jnananjanajalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Sri Prave Namaha Bhogam Karoti Vacharam Pangum Langete Girim Yatkripātamam Vande Sri Gurum Devataranam Paramanandamatam Sri Chaitanyeswaram Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhupayeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadanti Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. So, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, verse number 52. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatatilasyati tada gantasi nirvedam srotavyasya srutasya cha. Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 52. Janate moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srotavyasya srutasya cha. Janate moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srotavyasya srutasya cha. Word to word translation or synonyms. Yada, when, te, your moha of illusion, kalilam, dense forest, Buddhi, transcendental service with intelligence. Viti tarishyati, surpasses. Tada, at that time. Gantasi, you shall go. Nirvedam, kalasnas. Srotavyasya, toward all that is to be heard. Srutasya, all that is already heard. Cha, also. Translation by His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Vijay. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Please repeat. When your intelligence has passed out of dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Verse number 53, and we'll try to discuss once we finish this verse. Understand what Krishna is trying to tell. Shruti vipratipanna te yada stasyati nischala samadhavachala buddhi tada yogam avapsyasi. Shruti vipratipanna te yada stasyati nischala samadhavachala buddhi tada yogam avapsyasi. Shruti vipratipanna te yada stasyati nischala samadhavachala buddhi tada yogam avapsyasi. Word to word synonyms. Shruti of Vedic revelation, vipratipanna, without being influenced by the fruitive results. Te, your, yada, when, stasyati, remains, nischala, unmoved. Samadho, in transcendental consciousness or Krishna consciousness, achala, unflinching, buddhi, intelligence, tada, at that time. Yogam, self-realization, avapsasi, you will achieve. Translation. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Please repeat. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Please repeat. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. I'll try to understand these two verses. So, here, we already offered the prayers before itself, so try to understand. We'll try to wrap it up by 9. So, beautiful verses. This chapter, Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. Arjuna expressed his doubts of not, because he was not able to resolve his questions or doubts within himself by his own capacity. So then he surrendered. He had expressed, why should I don't want to fight because of compassion for my own family members. I don't want to fight because there is no enjoyment. I don't want to fight because there is sinful activity. My own family, if I kill, and I don't want to fight because there is a destruction of dynasty. I don't want to fight, and I don't know what to do, whether to fight or renounce inaction. These are the 5 main questions or doubts raised by Arjuna. And then the second chapter, Krishna didn't speak a single verse until Arjuna surrendered. He spoke just to instigate him. He spoke in the chapter 2 beginning. Once he sat down on the chariot, he is the one who told Krishna, "Oh Krishna, please bring my chariot in between the armies so that I can see who and all are assembled." And so then, as soon as he saw Bhishma and Drona and many others, different kinds of relatives, he was completely bewildered. And then that's when he gave all these doubts and he sat down. He was crying with tears are flowing down. Asru Purnakuleksham Visidantam Vidam Vacha Madhusudana. Oh Madhusudana, you are the killer of demons. Remove doubts from my heart so that I know what to do. So that was the second chapter beginning. And then, because this chapter is titled Contents of Gita Summarized, because it's summation of all the different types of yoga in brief. Third chapter onwards, Krishna expands each part of each yoga in great detail. So, after Arjuna surrendered in 2.7, 2 and 3, second and third, Lord Krishna was speaking to instigate. You have these deficiencies. How did these impurities come upon you? Anarjastam asvargam akirtikaram Arjuna. So, klabya mas mama agama partha naitatvayu upaddhati. Get up and fight. This doesn't befit you at all. Your Kshatriya, both mother side, father side, this is not at all befitting you. This is impurities, weakness. How did it come? So, still he argued, you didn't kill your own guru. Why are you asking me to kill Dronacharya, my own guru? But finally he decided he couldn't. No more arguments. I don't even have now any more arguments, and I don't know what to do. So there is no other choice for me to other than to surrender to the Supreme Lord. So 2.7 is when he understood that he has deficiency, defects, weakness in the heart, Hridaya Daurbalyam, he himself expressed. So that is the first step for any living entity to get the mercy of a Supreme Lord, that he must understand that there is no other possibility to my own endeavor, there is no possibility for my progress in my life. So this is the first step. When this happens in the heart of a living entity, that's when there is a then the Paramatma, who is a Chaitya Guru, who will invoke, who will give the mercy, who will instigate that living entity day after day after day. When that thought comes, Arjuna had that thought, then immediately as Paramatma instigated him, then he surrendered. So that is the first step for any, first qualification for any living entity to come to that point of surrendering to them. Until that point, things won't happen, because we'll be busy with so many other thoughts in life, how to do this, take care of this, that, so many things. But this will not be in the priority list. So until that, things won't manifest like Arjuna. It manifested for Arjuna. So he could surrender. It's not an easy step. For some, it takes many lifetimes. So it's not easy one. That is the first step. Then once Arjuna surrendered, Krishna spoke first because of Sankhya Yoga. So he spoke in great detail about the body and the soul. Described in great detail, because that's the Arjuna's first condition, first doubts. The compassion is what? Is against the body, against his own family members. He was not expressing compassion for all the both sides, Kurus, Pandavas and Kurus, both sides. So many people were assembled, 64 crores of people, not only human beings, but so many elephants and horses and whatnot. So he was not expressing the compassion. He was thinking of his own family, his own brothers, his own cousins and whatnot. So the compassion, then no enjoyment. If I am going to kill, if they will be killed, then whom I am going to share this opulence with? This is all based on the bodily concept of life. So that's why immediately Krishna spoke this Sankhya Yoga, describing in great detail. Otherwise, if he doesn't understand the fundamentals, he cannot be given higher knowledge. So then once he given from 2.11 onwards all the way to 2.30, he spoke this Sankhya Yoga, body and soul. Body is temporary, soul is a permanent body. So in that way, different ways Krishna explained. And then matras for the very important verses Krishna uses. Then from 30th onwards, he spoke about the Karma Yoga. Okay, forget about this body and soul. At least you know you are Kshatriya, you have a duty to perform. So what happened to your duty? You should perform your duty, because if you don't perform, then you will incur sinful activity by not performing. So that is, doesn't matter whether your family or not family. When you don't perform, then that is a sinful activity. Even if you are killed, still you will go to heavenly planet. But if you don't perform, run away, then that is a more sinful activity, then you will go to hell. No, so Krishna explained about the Karma Yoga 2.30 to 39. Then then he's coming to next section. That's where we are in. From verse number 41 to 40th, Krishna is giving the what is the benefit. Why should I perform Nishkam Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga means, karma means activity, but you are still attached to results. So whatever activity I am performing, also I should be attached to results, because I am the one who's working. So that is the general mindset of a living entity. So Krishna is also alright, he doesn't force. So that's why living entities are captured here in this material world, in the present house of this material world. So, but when he just takes next step, that is Nishkama Karma Yoga, that's why Krishna is going step by step. First body and soul Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, then he's coming to Karma Yoga, then he's coming to Nishkama Karma Yoga, how to perform activity without being attached to the results. And that's what 2 point. Before that, Krishna explained one who is coming, performing gradually from Nishkama Karma Yoga and Bhakti, then he will be saved from greatest danger of death. So at least he will get human birth. If he perfects his life, then he will not need to again take birth at all. He will be going back to Vaikuntha spiritual world. So that is the benefit Krishna is telling 2.41, 2.40. And then 41 onward, Krishna explaining about Nishkama Karma Yoga. 2.47 is the important verse we discussed, where it is mentioned Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur ma te sangostu karmani. Don't expect you have authority, you have a qualification to perform activity, but not for the results. You are not entitled to the results. Karmanye eva adhikara. You have adhikar, you have qualification to perform activity. But karmanye eva adhikara, ma phaleshu, ma means not. Phaleshu kadachana. You are not entitled. You are not qualified for the results. You must be dependent on the master. Like you are performing work, bonus is dependent on you. Yes, it is work, but it is company. Many companies doesn't give bonus because companies performance they have to look at individual performance also they will look at. So that's why it is. But at the end it is the discretion of the manager. It is the discretion of the company's board. It is not the discretion of the employee. It always says bonus, stocks, all these are. It is there on the paper, but it is finally discretion is up to them. Same way, the Supreme Lord, the result you have to work. So whether you are doing agriculture or business doesn't matter. Results is not guaranteed. But we generally become attached because I put the effort, it belongs to me. I am the doer, I need to get the results. So that is the problem. So that's why we become conditioned. So that's why Krishna is emphasizing this Nishkama Karma Yoga. Don't be attached to results. Ma karma, phala hetur bhur, mate sangos akarman. Perform akarmani. That means just do it as a matter of duty. Don't be attached. Don't aspire for anything, results. So that's what Krishna is emphasizing in 2.47. Now further Krishna goes on much more. Now he is coming to Jnana Nishta or Bhakti. Now he is giving glimpse of Bhakti. Important aspect in the last few verses. This is Nishkam Karma is ending in 2.53. Today's last verse 52 to 53 is the last verses of this section of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga. First Arjuna's last question, first section, and then Arjuna surrender to the next section. Then the third section is Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, body and soul details. And the next section is Karma Yoga. Next section is fifth section is Nishkama Karma. So we are in the Nishkama Karma Yoga section. So 52 to 53 we are discussing here. Krishna is mentioning about bringing to Jnana Nishta and Bhakti. He is talking to Arjuna and all of us that Yadate Moha kalilam. Moha means illusion, kalilam means dense forest. The living entity who comes out of this dense forest of illusion. Yadate mohokalam, yadate mohokalam, gantas nirvedam. What is that? Yeah. Tada gantas nirvedam, buddhir vyatiti rashyati. Buddhi. Last four verses, everywhere buddhi. And Prabhupada translates as transcendental service with intelligence or Krishna consciousness. Last four verses. Buddhir vyatitarishyati. Yeah, vyatitarishyati means surpasses. Tada gantas nirvedam. Nirvedam means kalasana, means indifferent. Srotavyasya srutasya. The srotavyasya srutasya, Krishna is talking about this sabda. Brahman, especially Brahman effulgence. Generally, the Shrutis means Vedas, Upanishad, that's what. Living entities, most of the time, on the Nishkama Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, generally they are attached to the fruitive activity. They are attached, they want to perform. Even Nishkama Karma also in generally means they don't expect results. Somebody may have a lot of money or they don't want anything. They have enough things for them to sustain and they have more. They want to give it charity, they want to give free education to poor people, they want to feed, they want to give shelter and whatnot. So many things they may do, hospitals, whatnot, philanthropic work. But they are still not doing for the pleasure of the Lord. They are doing as a philanthropic activity. They don't know what is the ultimate goal of life. why they should do, what they should do, what is the process. They are not aware of. That's why the next is we need transcendental knowledge, because Krishna talks about in the later on in 17th chapter, the charity has three types, and the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Because if you give charity to unqualified person, what will happen? One who uses that money in irregular activities, irreligious activities, then you will be implicated as well. So the person who is giving also. So that's why it is not easy. There it's clearly defined how the different kinds of sacrifices, austerity, charity, everything on the basis of three modes. So that's why it is not based on what we think. By speculation, things won't work. So we have to understand transcendental knowledge must be there, so that we come to the next level. So that's why Krishna is mentioning here, Sruti Vipradima, one must become indifferent. Because in four, generally the Vedas, Upanishad, the four Vedas, which is nothing but Atharva Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Rig Veda. These four Vedas, majority of it, 70 to 80%, is talking about if you perform this ritual, then you will get this benefit. If you worship, yes. That's why in the purport, Prabhupada is talking about Madhavendra, Sri Madhavendra Puri, who is the spiritual master of Iswara Puri, who is the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Madhavendra Puri is from where he started, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. From him, actual love of Krishna Prema, the highest rasa, is being given from Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri is praying here in the purport Prabhupada is giving, that one must give up Madhavendra Puri. What is, he said, I cannot do any of this. Sandhya Vandanam, from morning, as soon as sun rises, in the afternoon again, second time prayer, and the evening, third time prayer, taking bath, all these things. No, I am offering my obeisances. I cannot do this anymore. I am simply absorbed in Krishna and his pastimes, his holy name. Let me be in that. I cannot do this anymore. So he's simply submitting fully to Krishna. So he has given up. So because these are rituals, yes, it is good to do, but there is a different levels, there are different grades. That's why there is a Pancha Upasana is there. And most of that's what 80 to 90% of the Vedas, four Vedas are talking about Chaturveda Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Moksha also after long time. And then nobody is interested in actually Pancham Purushartha, which is Krishna Prema. So that's where the problem is. So that's why Vyasadeva also, after writing all this, he was despondent also. Then Nardamani has instructed, you didn't write actually the pure devotion. That's why you are despondent. You are not happy after writing so many of these Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas. Especially he didn't write Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra, but still he was not happy. Then, after writing Srimad Bhagavatam, because that is the Samadhi Bhashya. Vyasadeva, when he meditated for many years, when he came to Samadhi stage, that's when he wrote. The same thing with Valmiki, Ramayana also. 60,000 years he meditated, Valmiki. Then he wrote Ramayana. That's why, out of any other, there are so many Ramcharitmanas and many other things. None of them are the authentic or the authorized or the most highest. So they might be to some extent, but the highest and the topmost is the Valmiki Ramayana. So one must study that, one must refer to that Ramayana, not any other ones. That's why at least our Acharyas, Prabhupada emphasize more stress is given to that. Same way the Bhagavatam also, there are many others, Devi Bhagavatam, Potan Bhagavatam, this and that, so many. But that is not the prescribed, that is not as per the bona fide Acharya from bona fide Sampradaya, Srimad Bhagavatam as it is, which is coming from the Acharyas. So that's what we have to study. So then we can get the actual, understand this benefit. Otherwise it is Srota Vyasa Kalas. We must be indifferent to these lower rules, lower injunctions, because otherwise we will be attached to the fruits. Then we will be coming back again and again. We will go to higher planets, heavenly planet, moon planet, sun planet, Pancha Upasana. There it is mentioned. First one is Ganesha, Shakti, Ganesha, Surya, then Shiva, then Lord Vishnu. In this way, there is step by step 5 kinds of upasana. The last one is the Lord Vishnu, Panchopasana. But to come to that highest stage, it takes long time, because they are attached to these different benefits. Let me perform this ritual, that ritual, this sacrifice, this puja, that puja. So even after taking up Krishna consciousness also, I see many devotees still doing so many things. They cannot give up. They are attached to these, reading this book, reading that book, so many things. But Shastra is clearly laying out that you must focus. Because if you are not focused, then you are worshipping so many demigods, then you are reading so many different books, and you are chanting so many different mantras, then where will we go? Our mind itself is not focused, fixed. Then how will we be able to really attain Samadhi? Next verse, Krishna is speaking. So that's why here it is mentioned, Yadate Moha kalilam. Moha means illusion. Kalilam means dense sparkling. That means too much illusion. It is like we are in whatever we pay, just like if you want to get into apartment, depending on how much money you put, then when you go to the apartment office, then they will do first bedroom, second bedroom, two-bedroom apartment. Even in that also they have a category. They have additional benefits with more facilities. So more depending on how much you pay, accordingly you will get that kind of apartment. Same way the living entity is also, we are not the body. So means apartment, we are, who is the owner? Owner is different, landlord is different. We are just occupying that place. Same way the living entity is occupying this particular body. The soul is taking this particular body, currently whatever body we got, male, female, Indian, American, doesn't matter. So the particular body we are taking. So that is based on the karma what we are performing. It is based on how much we are paying. Accordingly, we are getting certain apartment, certain type, same way, certain type of family, opulence, bank balance. How do we look and what is the height? Everything. Nothing is by chance in this world. Everything is happening by exactly based on our karma. Karanam gunasangasya saddasat janma yoneshu. So, so that's why it is very important to understand future. If you want a bright future, then you must know this transcendental knowledge and act accordingly. Otherwise, implications is for us. Implication will be on us, and then we have to face the reactions. Then we cannot question why God you are giving me these difficulties, this problem, job problem, health problem, family problem, this that. So we cannot question because it is our karma. We have to Dhritarashtra had to suffer 100 lifetimes, and then all 100 kids were killed. So see the situation, light of that. It is not karma is so intricate and complex. You cannot even understand why things happen. So it is our based on our karma. Krishna will not force something which we haven't done. It is the work what we have done only. We are getting the reactions. Maybe this lifetime or the previous lifetime. So that's why we have to clearly understand how these things work. But when we follow the process, then gradually that karma will be nullified, removed, or minimized, reduced, that by the Krishna's mercy. So that is the benefit of performing Bhakti Yoga. So here, so the Edate Moha that is the illusion means this thinking that we are this body. Theoretically we know, but we are not able to apply it practically. Constantly we are, like if something happens to the car, something happens to our home, immediately we become, even though we say, no, I'm not afraid of death. Yes, as soon as the fire, something happens to the house, immediately we run away. Why do we call fire? Why do we call emergency 911? If you are not afraid of death, then why do you call? You can depend on yourself, but everybody, nobody, there is no one in this world is afraid, not afraid of death. Everybody is afraid of death because that is the constant, that is the quality of a pure soul. Soul doesn't die, soul is eternal. So that's why that characteristic is there, natural symptom is there. So the moha illusion means the Shastra Acharyas are explaining the examples as we heard before also. This moha illusion is the senses. Senses are the one greatest. The mind is the center. That's why it is mentioned. And the mind is gone out of the dense forest of delusion. This verse or the next verse. Yeah, next verse. Even though mind, there is no translation word, specific word used for mind, but still in the translation, Prabhupada is translating. When your mind is no longer disturbed with the flowery language of the Vedas. Yeah, so the first 52 and 53 both. In the 52, Krishna, Prabhupada is translated as intelligence because Buddhi is used. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, so that illusion is the senses is the main problem, and the mind is the controller of these senses. So the senses, each sense, especially the senses which we are talking about, the Jnanendriyas is the biggest problem. The eyes, Prabhupada gives this example of eyes, the vision. The insects, as soon as they see the fire, the light and the fire, they get attracted, they get trapped, and they enter into it. That's it, finished. Fire. Only moments of life they have. Insects by the vision. So they are attracted by the glaring effulgence, then enter into it, they die. The deer is by the sound, the ears. They hear the music, the hunter plays the music, then as soon as they hear, then they are captivated, they're captured by the hunter. So they are attracted by the sound. So that is the ears, the eyes, and then the elephants are by the sense of touch, male and female elephant they brought before, and then they put a big ditch and they fall into it, and then they capture the elephant. So in this way, then the fish is by the taste, the tongue. Even though fish has so many in ocean or river, so many things are there for it to eat. But as soon as somebody puts this tackle, puts down something, put some meat or something, and immediately it captures and then gets captivated. So by the taste, the tongue, and then the what is it? Touch, yeah, the that is the fish. Then you see deer and elephant, and then the insect. The one more is there. Yeah, bees. Bees is by smell. Bees is by smell. As soon as they enter into the lotus and different flowers where they are to attract honey. As soon as sunset happens, then the flower collapses, basically closes, as well as the lotus. The bees which are inside it, they can die. So the attraction is there for the taste, the smell, for the honey. So immediately see by these senses, jnanendriyas, how living entities are captured, and this is for the different living entity. But for a human being, Shastra is mentioning Mamai Vamso Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasasthan Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshate. The five senses is as I mentioned, eyes, ears, nose, and touch and tongue, these five, and then mind, six. These are like six wives. Prabhupada is explaining in one of the verse. Six wives. As soon as living entity comes to home, like the six wives are captivating him, like putting in a prison, captivating. Come here, come to me, come to me. So in this way, the living entity is captured or captivated by the mind and the senses in illusion, even though it is not real. It is like, just assume, Prabhupada gives another example. A very simple example we can understand. When we are sleeping, what's happening? Body is there, yeah, but the gross body, we are not operating on the gross body when we are sleeping. Subtle body, we are operating on the subtle body. Subtle body is the one which is thinking of different things. So, tiger is coming and killing me, or my friend is there, I'm enjoying with my friend, I went here, I went there, or I was eating this, different activities. Which body is going? Gross body is lying on the bed. Which body is going? Subtle body is going. Subtle body is the one which is acting. It is all the personalities, the persons, whatever we get in those activities, they're all real. They may not be currently present. It could be past life or this life. Generally, most likely in this life, we will think of different people. Comes automatically in the thoughts, in the dreams. Sometimes past lives also come, depending on how much deep attachment we may have, some scars we have, which accordingly we get. So this is what's happening. The subtle body is the one who's going and performing this activity. Is it reality? It is happening in dream. This is in while sleeping. Now while we are living on a daytime, what's happening? Gross body is there. Subtle body is not so active. Means it is there, but the gross body, we are operating mostly on the gross body. But in reality, actually, this gross body, subtle body, both are not in reality. Both are not actually permanent. Because when we come out of this illusion, when we perfect our life, when we purify our life, when we get the spiritual body, there no more gross body, no more this mind, intelligence, subtle. It is all completely spiritual body. There is no tada rajastamo bhava kamalo vada cheta yedairana vidam stitam satve prasid. So there is no more passion and ignorance. Fully situated pure goodness. So then there is no more these gross and subtle bodies. So that's what is happening. Even at the time of death, what's happening? The gross body is gone. Gross body is gone because gross body is lying there. Otherwise, why people are crying that my relative or my son, my father, my whatever, whoever, my friend passed away, but body is there. The soul has gone. What soul has gone with what? Subtle body, mind, intelligence, ego, the false ego. These three elements are carrying on with that body, with the soul, the subtle body and the soul. Entering into 9 months is different, or 7 months. The consciousness is coming at the seventh month. So it is entering into different next body, next womb of a living entity. Whether it's a human being or a different species of life, it is entering. For 7 months, it is in a so not sushupti. Sushupti is when the partial annihilation happens, it goes into the abdomen of Mahavishnu. That is sushupti, deep sleep. But this is like a partial sleep, you can say, semi-consciousness. So until seventh month, we will not be fully conscious. So because one by one is forming each month, one by one part of the body is forming in the womb of a mother. So that is what is happening. The gross body is not there. Subtle body is the one which is carrying the soul with subtle body and entering into another womb, and then again coming out. So that's where again in the womb what is happening? Are we gross body? We don't have subtle body is the more predominant there. When we come out again, we are attached to gross. This is going on. Sometimes gross, sometimes subtle. But ultimately, we are neither the gross nor the subtle. So that's why in the 14 planetary systems, also on the earthly planet and below, we are operating mostly in gross. Our body is predominantly made of gross body. When you go down, even more predominantly gross, more, too much gross. As you go down to the lower planets, Atala, Vitala, Talatal, Rasatal, Mahital, Patal. When you go up, it is more and more subtle. So that's why they can fly. They don't need aeroplanes. Siddhas, Charanas, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, is all these heavenly planets. As you go up higher planets, what is it? We are in Bhuloka, Borloka, Svargaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and then Brahmaloka. They don't need, they can fly. So, as per Vidyadharas, they can fly without even aeroplane. Uh, so, this is the higher qualifications, more and more subtle bodies. But spiritual body is completely different from this gross and subtle. So, that is the difference. So we have to understand. But we are operating either on the gross body when we are on the daytime, in the sleeping, we are operating on the more and more attached to the subtle body. So, but either in both cases, it is illusion. We are not operating on the reality. We haven't perfected. We are not identifying with the soul and the soul to the super soul. So that's where we are suffering with these three modes of material nature. So that's why where it is mentioned that because desire is there, desire to enjoy separately from the Lord. What is the cause? The first one is desire only. Kama Manyuna Mada. So Rishabhadev is instructing his sons. Before you take up the kingdom, understand this. What is the main culprit? Is your desire to enjoy separately from the Lord. You don't want to offer your activities. Your desires are not aligned with the Supreme Lord's desires. So that's why we are suffering. So when Prabhupada met Urmila Mataji with her parents and husband and I think kids are there too, I think. Then Prabhupada was talking to them. Then his father told, some, somehow or the other, I'm not able to accept this philosophy. I cannot love. I cannot take up. I cannot do chanting, all this. So, but I love humanity. I want to serve humanity. He said, yes, but that is not possible. Just like Prabhupada give example that when you throw a stone, when you have pond, when you take a stone and throw in the middle of the pond, middle of the river, then it will the ripples, the waves. If you do it only in the center, put it in the center, the ripples, the waves will go without intersecting each other. It will expand and expand and expand. It will reach the shore like that. But if you put it in between here and there, not in the center, then it will coincide, it will intersect. Same way, so when the living entity is not putting Krishna in the center, however we try, different rasas, different relationships. It won't work because Krishna is not in the center. So material qualities will come arise, false ego, all these various anarthas are there. It won't work. However we try, how much love and affection, so many things you may have. So that's why in Kali Yuga it's more even rampant. So that's why Rishabhadev is instructing here that Kama Manyuna, that verse is there, what is it? Yeah. Kama Manyuna Mado Loba Soka Moha Bayadaya Karma Bandast Yan Mula Swakuryat Kono Tat Buddha. One who is intelligent, why will he not take up? Because the desire is the one which is the causing of all the culprit of all other things. Kama, starting is the desire. If the desire is not fulfilled, what will happen? Manu, anger will come. So generally, when the desire is, when we don't, when somebody doesn't cook the things what we want, or somebody doesn't do the activity like our managers in the office or in the community wherever we are doing business activity, people don't like the way we do things, then they get angry. Especially if there's something completely against we do, then they get angry, or we don't give their share, we take their share also, or we do something what they don't like, then immediately they get angry. And when things are not fulfilled, when we are thinking, when we put some money on something and it won't happen, reverse thing happen, or something happens to our car, or home, or something to our close relative, something happens to our family member, then we get upset, we get angry. Kama manu, kama, desire is there, attachment is there, then leading to anger. Kama manuna, and then that is leading to pride, obviously, that because why things has to happen this way. We don't accept God at that time because of this excessive desire and attachment of past activities. In this life and the past lives also. Kama manyuna mada loba, then automatically that anger leads to the pride, and then also this greed. Greed is there, and then that leads to frustration, soka. Then baya, moha and baya. Moha means illusion, because especially when you are angry, as we are discussing Daksha Prajapati's case, he was very, very upset and angry, envious and angry. Then he didn't know what he is doing. So he walked into the arena where everybody is there, big, so many exalted sages were there. His own father Brahma was there, Lord Shiva was there, father-in-law was there, and he got up, means walked in. Then everybody stood up. Brahma didn't stood up, and then Lord Brahma is his own father. Then Shiva didn't stood up. But then immediately Daksha got angry. He saw everybody sat down. Then Daksha everybody stood up except those two. Brahma was father, so that he didn't care. But Shiva, Lord Shiva didn't get up. Then immediately became puffed up. He was angry. He was envious. Immediately, so much angry that immediately spoke against in the whole assembly. Not only that, after he spoke all those, he cursed. He will not get any share. Their Shastra Acharyas explain, yes, this is good, Lord Shiva, that's what he wants. He doesn't want any share of this fruitive mentality, as this verse is talking about. He doesn't want to take the share of all other demigods. This, give me this, I will give you this. So that kind of thing. He is busy in meditating on Lord Sankarshan, Lord Balaram. So he doesn't want to take part in all these things. So he doesn't want to do business. So that's why that is good for him. He criticized, he cursed Lord Shiva. On top of that, he didn't even stop right there. He cursed and he even criticized Lord Brahma. He didn't even accept Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the one who has instructed him to get married to give his daughter to Lord Shiva. Then he criticized even his own father. He didn't even accept his father's proposal also. By force he accepted, but then he is criticizing the decision of Brahma. And then not only he stopped right there, he left. Everybody is telling, Lord Brahma is telling, don't leave, don't leave. And then all the sages were telling, don't leave. Then he left the whole arena and he left. They continued the sacrifice, but you can see the anger when somebody is in this angry position, then he doesn't know what he's doing. Disastrous condition, disastrous thing he does. So that's why it's very important to understand how this yadate moha kalilam, as it is mentioned, yadate moha kalilam. And tada, buddhir vyatiti rishyati. Tada gantasi nirvedam srota visrutasya. We have to give up these lower things, different kinds of lower sacrifices, pujas, rituals. I will do Sandhya Vandanam. In the beginning stage, it's all right. But when you come to the path of bhakti, the chanting the holy name is the topmost. Shastra is clearly telling. What is it? Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Srimad Bhagavata Sravan, Madhura Vas, and the Srimad, what is it? Worshipping the deity. What they call, forget the fifth one, Sanskrit. Deity worship. These are the five things Shastra explains, especially Rupa Goswami, six Goswamis, and our Acharyas explain. Five things are the prominent and important. And Sadhu Sangha, association of devotees, always in the association of devotees we should chant, with association of devotees we should hear. Bhagavat Sravanam, hearing, reading regular Srimad Bhagavatam, and chanting the holy name of the Lord, Nama Kirtan, and then the fourth one, Madravas, or making your home as a holy place. That means worshipping the deity and taking Krishna Prasad and chanting. That becomes holy place already. You don't need to. As Narottam Das Thakur, one of our Acharya clearly told. You don't need to go. People go for holy place, but you don't need to go. You make your home itself when you are worshipping the deity, when you are following this process of Bhakti Yoga, then you don't need to go. This your home itself is a holy place here. So completely, then you don't need to go actually. The Madravas, and the finally is the worshipping the deity. Sri Murti Aradhan. Yeah. Sri Murti. Yeah. So the worshipping the deity at home or the temple, whatever is close by. But if your temple is close by, you can go and worship the deity indirectly if you are not second initiated. If you are second initiated, you can go and worship directly, touch the deity, does the deity, cook for the deity, offer garland, offer the chandan, tulsi, touch with mixed with chandan, fresh chandan, and you put to the lotus feet of the Lord. That is the best way to get devotion, because she is the most dearmost to the Lord. So that's why here it is mentioned. So become indifferent to all these other lower sacrifice, lower rules. Even while performing, while doing bhakti, also many times we somehow too much caught up with rules. Like when we are doing Ekadasi, we are too much caught up with, oh, I don't want to do this, I want to fully fast, nirjal, all these things. But actually, we should be attached to the worshipping the Lord. We should be attached to the chanting the holy name of the Lord. We should be attached to serving the devotees of the Lord. We should be attached to taking only Krishna Prasad. So, like that, more and more attached to the Supreme Lord and His devotees, and we should be not caught up with so much about the rules and regulations. It is good, but to some extent only. Rules means, especially chanting the holy name, that is the regulative principle, that is the main principle we have to follow. Fasting for Ekadasi, if you are not diabetic, if you are diabetic, then you can consider different things. So, in this way, there is a main thing is there. That is the main purpose, is to come close to Krishna. That is the main purpose, developing attachment to Krishna. But all other rules should be secondary. And so that's what. Smartavya Satado Vishnu, Smartavya Sanajatajit. Sarva Vidya Nishedayo, Yetayor, Eva Kinkara. Every other rule is subsidiary to this rule. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So that is the main. So that's why we have to see. So that's why here it is Krishna is mentioning in this verse. Give up all these illusion, give up this sense attachment, thinking this is your body, these senses. But rather transfer this. It is like Prabhupada also gives example of mercury. Mercury generally you cannot take. It is like lead immediately, and people die if you take. But the same mercury can be transformed, used in the medicine. They use in the medicine, and Prabhupada also gives, Rupa Goswami gives this to get initiation. That initiation process of initiation is explained like to make gold. People can make gold with mercury. Bell metal mixed with yata kanchanam yadi kamsa rasavidanena dvijaptam jayate nranam. So that initiation process, it is explained. Even if it is a dog eater, even the lowest can become the qualified brahmana. How is like just like the bell metal touched with combined with mercury via medium of sulfuric acid, then you can make it into gold. You need to know the process of chemical process. So then that way you can make gold with this using mercury. But same mercury, if you directly take, then it's like poison. You will die. Living in it, you will die. But same way indirect, but in other way, it can be used in a way of medicine. It can be used for making gold, transforming into gold, copper, bell metal, and but same way, so the same activity, the same senses, the same desire, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, all these things can be transformed into serving the Lord. Like just like Hanuman used anger against those who are envious, he burned the whole Lanka. So like that, kama, desire can be used to serve the Lord. Krodha can be same way, greed. Rather, greed must be and greedy, become greedy to serve the Lord. If you have more money, that's fine. Instead of thinking that this is not you are, we are not the doer. That also that automatically will go away. Mentality of a doer when you start offering things, when you start utilizing things. Proper devotees explain. Devotees gives many examples. Prabhupada was every bit of it. When he receives money, when he book, phone, anything, even cloth, somebody gives a donation, somebody gives something to him for his use, everything is just like very delicately, everything he takes care of delicately. His chanting bag, his beads, everything is so personal, so loving and caring also. So you can understand because everything is seeing as Krishna's property. His devotees, his disciples, his whatever objects he is getting, everything is seeing, nothing is saying is different. We see like that. Sometimes the cell phone, we sometimes we throw it, or some small things we don't take care of it. But Prabhupada was very particular about each and every aspect because everything belongs to Krishna. Every paisa he used to count. He used to ask why this paisa has gone. Why did you spend this much money? So he is very particular because everything is thinking, seeing as Krishna's property. So that he is not thinking I am the one who's doing. So this was the mentality of pure devotee because his desires are aligned. Sometimes Prabhupada is angry. He is using to correct his disciples. Anger he is using to preach when he is preaching to those who are envious, atheistic. So that also. So the another meaning of this verse also Sabda Brahman. We have to the pure we have to go above this. Sometimes we are attached to the fruitive activities. People want to go to the higher planets, heavenly planets. Then we will come back again. But the next level is those who wants to be the yogis. They want to meditate on Paramatma. That is merging into. They will merge into the abdomen of the Lord. Or those who are meditating on jnanis, jnana yogis, they will be meditating on the this Brahmana effulgence. They will merge into the Brahmana effulgence. But they are not attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. They will also fall down because there is no variety in Brahmana effulgence. That is not all in all. Because above the Brahmana effulgence, that is only 180 degrees. Above that, the Supreme Paramatma, above the Paramatma is also in the material world only. Paramatma is there in the demigod, Paramatma is there in living end. But the spiritual world is a personal form of the Lord. That is the highest. So that's what here in this verse Krishna is talking about. Give up the lower rules and regulations. Don't be attached to the fruitive activities. Come to the platform of above Nishkama Karma. Come to the Gnana Nishta, where it is Baladev Vidyabhushan is giving an example like the lotus. So lotus is there, lotus stem. The lotus is growing. How lotus is getting the water? Through lotus stem inside the lotus. If you cut the like even the banana stem also inside the through inside what you call layers, water is being absorbed and then that's how the lotus is growing and surviving. Same way the Nishkama Karma Yoga is one portion, but then it has to inside you have to develop this transcendental knowledge. You are not the body, you are not the doer, you are serving Krishna. So everything belongs to Krishna. That is the underlying that jnana, the hidden, like the lotus is growing outside externally, you see only the outer layer, but the inside, inside layers are taking the water and making allowing the lotus to grow nicely. Same way, so the actual our nishkam karma means we are not attached to the result. We might be doing philanthropic work, but that's not the end goal. We have to have the transcendental knowledge that everything belongs to this must be to please Krishna. Everything. That's why the next verse is talking about Achala Buddhi, fully meditate Samadhi, Samadhi Achala Buddhi, fixed up Krishna consciousness. That means we should be ready to go, ready to do any service, any activity, despite our inconveniences. As we are discussing in the chapter 1 of Krishna book, Vasudev, when Kamsa is ready to kill his own sister, he just got married. But Vasudeva has to do so many things somehow to pacify Kamsa. He did all those because as a matter of duty. He was not, even though it is so many inconveniences, he just did as a matter of duty. Because pure devotee, he doesn't care. To perform his duty, he will do even if it is inconvenience. It doesn't matter. He will perform. So that is the quality of a pure devotee. Even we see that example of Prabhupada called Tamal Krishna. You go to China. Because when he did Radha Damodar bus party, he called so many engaged, so many people left the temples and joined his party. And all these, many of these are grostas in the temples, and they all complained to Prabhupada. Prabhupada suddenly told, what should I do with you? Because all of them are complaining. What should I do? Said, maybe I should go to China. That is good. Krishna is giving the indication. You should go to China. Rather, actually, Prabhupada has the desire. Prabhupada somehow they wants to preach in Russia and China. At that time, China didn't even start. Then Prabhupada sent, then Tamal Krishna, no, I just said it somehow by mistake. No, Prabhupada said, no, you have to go. This is what Krishna's desire. So then he sent it. Then he did, and that's how now China has so many temples. So many devotees are there. Chinese, so many devotees, so much preaching going on. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is going on even in China and Russia and other places. It's all because of Prabhupada's mercy. Prabhupada went even Russia also. So many other places it's like a lockdown completely. You cannot do anything. So even at that time, there was one devotee, Chinese devotee, actually translated Bhagavad Gita in Chinese. This is in 1976 or 77. Yasomati Sutta, his name, Yasomati Sutta. He has translated Bhagavad Gita, wonderful translation, a perfect translation he did. 6 chapters only. Immediately they printed, one of the devotee, Prabhupada, engaged him in Hong Kong. Then he immediately printed and sent to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was so happy. He told, with this book, the whole this communist idea, the philosophy, that whole thing will collapse. So now that's why you may see dictatorship, but actually that I forget the names. The before the people who ruled more and more communistic ideas, that ideology, that thing is much more less now more of a dictatorship. But those principles are not so much is there. This Prabhupada predicted that time itself. Just by preaching, these things will happen. So even now the Srimad Bhagavatam is translated in Chinese. So this is all because you can see these people, these devotees with the fixed up fully Krishna, they are ready to do. That's what Sharanagati means, where the Mahaprabhu is explaining, talking to Sanatana Goswami, instructing Sanatana Goswami. There Mahaprabhu is explaining that there are 2 categories of those who are devotees who are not attached to the results. That is one category. But actually the second category is fully surrendered, fully offered themselves that I am yours to spiritual master and supreme Lord. I am yours. I don't have any separate endeavors of my own. I don't have any separate desires at all. My desire is to whatever you say, I follow as it is. There is no separate mentality, no independent nature. So that is the full surrender. That's why that surrender is defined as anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjana. That means everything, whatever is favorable to increase Krishna consciousness, to please spiritual master and Krishna, that is, we should accept that. And then pratikulyasya, anything which is not favorable to please Prabhupada the Lord, then we should immediately reject. And pratikulyasya varjanam rakshayisyati viswasam. Always think that Lord Krishna is the protector. And then Goptritra Varnam Tada Atmanikshepana Karanya. So Lord Krishna is the maintainer and protector. Think always. And then also that I am the self-surrender, fully surrendered, that we should accept everything, inconveniences, everything, what it doesn't matter. You should ready to accept, ready to do everything and anything. Fully self-surrender. That means we don't surrender to others. We don't surrender to demigod. We don't surrender to others. We surrender fully to the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord. That's what self-surrender means. No other. We don't have any other ideas and thoughts. Oh, I have this idea. This is how I want to do. You are surrendered to that idea, but you are not surrendered to the spiritual master or Supreme Lord's idea. Then that must be rejected. Even whether you like it or not like it, then that's what self-surrender means, and humility to serve. That means you are not the doer. Humility, when it will come, when you think that you are not the doer, Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, spiritual master, and the Supreme Lord is the doer. That's what it comes to. And we see this in example of the illusion example, the previous verse example also. We can see Hiranyakashipu is giving. Hiranyakashipu is instructing when Hiranyaksha was killed by the Lord, they were all crying. All his wives were crying. The Hiranyaksha's wife and even his mother was crying, sisters were crying. Then Hiranyakashipu was instructing, why are you crying? This soul is eternal. This is temporary. Like the travelers come and meet on the ocean and river, things will come by the waves and then immediately disperse. So why are you crying? It is just like it is temporary. Again, you will be born. Soul doesn't die. Then unmanifest, manifest, and then again unmanifest. Like when you are building any buildings, then avyakta andini bhutani, vyakta madhyani varata. What is that? Beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita 2.18, I think. And that basically what it is mentioning is it is beginning unmanifested before creation, and then manifesting, creation is manifested. Then again it annihilates, unmanifest. Same way when you are building a building, then the elements are there: earth, water, fire, air, ether. That is, building is not unmanifested, but then you build it, whatever stories, that is manifested. Then at some point after 30, 40, 50, 100, 200 years, things it collapse. Then it is unmanifested. So in the same way, the living entity, the body, before it's unmanifested, manifested, again gone. So the soul is taking up different body. This body is gone. So why you worry? It is a matter of, it gets created, maintained, annihilated. So you shouldn't be worrying. So and then he relates the incident, Yamaraj's incident, when the history of Suyagna, King Suyagna was a great king, and then one time he died in front of his enemy, and then all his wives are so much attached to King Suyagna, then they were crying like anything. Nobody could take his body and then cremate. And nobody could take it. His family members, different people tried, but nobody could. Finally, Yamaraj comes in the form of a child, a small child, and then he instructs, he relates. Why are you crying? This is all you are not understanding. So you never saw King Suyagna. You just saw the body. That body is right there. Why are you crying? Actual person, you never talked to him. You never saw him. The soul, you didn't see him. You didn't talk to him. Rather, you spoke to the body. The body is lying there. You shouldn't be worrying about this. This is temporary. But you are not realizing that he is gone. But you will also be gone in few days. But you are not thinking about that. You are just thinking and crying. This is a temporary situation. You are not understanding. They give so many different examples. Just like fire is there in the wood. Two different things. Air is in the nostrils and mouth. They are not same. The body and the soul is different. The fire in the wood is two different. Air and nostrils, air in the mouth. Air is there. That doesn't mean both are same. So in this way, he gives so many different examples. Then he is giving also the example of the birds. He is talking about in Ushanara country, the two birds, Kulinga birds. Then one time a hunter shoots arrow, captured somehow with the rice or grains, with the net. The female bird was captured. Then the male bird was sitting there and thinking, lamenting, oh, what a providence, will of the providence. It took my wife. Kids are small. Who's going to feed? They are looking for mother. Why should I live now? So why this happened to me? In this way, as he was thinking, immediately hunter released an arrow, and then he was also killed. So in this way, so explained. So So if Lord wants to protect, he also gives example that if the money is lying on the somebody loses the money, then if Lord wants to protect, then the money will be right there. But in other case, if the money is there nicely, safely at home, protected by so many people, but if Lord doesn't want to protect, then money can be stolen. So same way, if Lord wants to protect the living entity, then he will live. But if Lord doesn't want to protect, then he can be killed. Nobody can, you can spend so much money and so many doctors you can bring, but nobody can save. So it's all depending on the Lord and the karma of the living entity. So in this way, so many different ways, Yamaraj is instructing, Hiranyakasipu is instructing, giving that philosophy in chapter 2 of Canto 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, before Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, Prahlad's instructions coming. This is there in the beginning. So in this way, that illusion, we can see how this transcendental knowledge is very, very important. Yamaraj is giving the transcendental knowledge to these wives of Suyagna, narrating this two birds incident, how because of that lamentation, because of the attachment, how the birds were killed, and also this. Then finally, this wives of the wives of this Suyagna also realized, and then finally cremated the body, and then they attained the transcendental knowledge. So that's why it is very important here. Samadhi means we have to gradually, more and more we hear, more and more we chant, follow, gradually increase and increase and increase our devotion and attachment and love for Krishna and devotees, and gradually by following in these footsteps of the previous acharyas and devotees, then gradually we can come to that highest stage of samadhi, fixed up, achala buddhis. That means one point attention in everything what we do, transferring fully, transferring our desires, our attachment, our services. We don't become desireless. We don't stop things. We don't stop working. We don't stop taking care of family. No, those things will go on. It is transferring those things. Anasaktasya vishayan yataraham upayandita. It is dovetailing everything to Krishna. That is what it means. Chapter after chapter, Krishna is emphasizing it. Nowhere you will see. 3.30, Prabhupada talks about purpose of Bhagavan. Krishna, clearly it is mentioned. Mai sarvani karmani sannyasi adhyam. All activities, just give it to me. Dedicate to me. That's what. Perform, but dedicate to me. You are not the doer. And the same thing in the 12th chapter, the topmost chapter, pure devotion. There also Krishna is mentioned. Yastu sarvani karmani. There also, I think, 9th or 10th verse, after Krishna, Arjuna asked about the impersonal or personal, then the very difficult to perform impersonal. Klesho adhikadarastesham. Then Krishna is mentioning one who is engaged in all kinds of activities but offering dedicated to me, then tesham aham samudapta amrita samsar. Very quickly I will deliver them. They will be come to me very quickly. So in this way, again and again, Krishna is emphasizing this. One who is dedicating, even at the end of 6th chapter. Chapter after chapter, the same concept in different ways Krishna is mentioning. So the idea is somehow or the other, gradually, slowly, don't artificially renounce things. Don't artificially think that, oh, I'll sit at home and chant, I'll renounce, I'll give up this family and then go somewhere and do that. This, all kinds of these are all our speculative ideas that must be given up. We must, anything, if you want to follow devotion, bhakti means it must be under the direction or the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. There is no other way. We can try whole life, life after life, we can do wonderful activities, but we will not move much in our devotion service, guaranteed. So our Acharya is clearly giving, because only way is by following under the footsteps of bona fide spiritual master. He must direct us of what to do, how to do, when to do, everything. And because we will not know, otherwise we will go on with speculative ideas. So otherwise, that's why we can see as devotees also many followed their own ideas, because it's not a good proposal. So that's not what Prabhupada is clearly giving instruction to his disciples, what not to do, what to do. So with that, we will stop here. Already 9:22. Any questions? Quick questions on the Google Meet. I can unmute and ask. No questions. Okay. Good. Any questions on the phone? Hare Krishna. Any questions on the phone? Okay.
Hare Krishna.
1 minute, Mataji, on the phone. I'm asking, then I'll come. Okay. Anyone else on the phone? Okay. Another question. Yes, Mataji, go ahead. On the Google Meet.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavats. Very nice class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I was just contemplating on the point that you were saying how everything is destined. If Krishna has to save, our lives are completely dependent on Krishna. I can understand that, but when death actually happens, do we lament for the soul who we have known and then they pass away? Is that lamentation? It's just so natural. So I just wanted to know: is that the right way to
Means when
mourn the death of a person by lamentation? I mean, we understand the soul passes, the soul is never destroyed, but that lamentation, which still, it carries on in the heart. So, how do we address that? And is it the right
you
way
are
to say?
talking about a family member or a friend or a devotee or something, right? You're asking.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that it is a natural thing that we should think that this is ordained by the Supreme Lord. That is the first thing we should have. Oh, this why this happened to this devotee? Oh, he has done so many things. We don't know what Krishna's plan is. So we don't know because Krishna has his own plan. So there is no we shouldn't have that question. So if you have understood this transcendental knowledge, then we shouldn't question that. But we should take it as the will of the providence, like Vidura Maharaj has taken, and all others. Sri Prabhupada, even when Sri Prabhupada was there, some of his disciples left the body. Like Jana Prabhu had cancer. He was beautiful, but he Prabhupada told he went back to Godhead. So those incidents, many of those happened, even when Prabhupada was there. But so pure devotee or the one who understands this philosophy, we should think that. But at the same time, we should try to serve like their family, or means obviously separation can be there. So that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing here also. The material desires, the fruitive results attached to the results, are doing some kind of rituals shouldn't be there, but rather we should be thinking, we shouldn't question, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Yugaitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravrushayitam Sunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahena Me. So the Asleshavam Padaratam Penastuvamam Maramatam Karotivam Yata Tatavat Lampato Mat Prananadas Sayevanapara. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, whether you will kill me, whether you will trample me, whether you will appear before me or not, I will day after day, week after week, month after month, I'll simply engage in loving devotions or without expecting anything. Well, even when whether you will come before me or not, so just with unconditional. That's what Mahaprabhu is expressing in his the six Ashtakam. He's teaching us that this is the unconditional. That means there is no questioning. Means why these things happen. Yes, we may have when we are not fully perfected our understanding or realization on the bhakti, we might be still on the way, but not yet perfected. So then, yes, we may have question. But at the same time, naturally, we will have separation from the devotee or from the family member. Yes, that is natural. But we shouldn't be that separation is love in means what is that sambhoga and vipralamba. So that separation is a little bit different than the attachment. So two different angles we have to understand that distinction. But we should serve their family or the devotee or relative, anybody, any needs are there, we should support and do that. All that should be done, because Prabhupada acted in that way, same way, very personally. So very personal. Rasa should be there, relation, emotions are there always. Bhakti doesn't mean emotionless. So that is always, relationship is always there. But at the same time, we are not attached. We accept as Krishna's proposal, we accept as Krishna's plan. This is what Krishna's plan is. It is not my plan. It is not his plan, but it is Krishna's plan. In that way, we accept it and then go on, move on, not being, otherwise, mind will disrupt us. While chanting, things, same thing will pop up. While doing other activities, these things will pop up. That means then that will cause anger, that will cause frustration, that will cause anxiety. All other unwanted things will happen, because when this lack of complete knowledge is there, then these things will come to picture. So that's it. More and more as we become mature and fixed up, then gradually these things will be removed from our heart. But it takes time. It is a process. It is evolution. We just need to follow through. That's all.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Already 9:27. We'll stop here. Otherwise,